Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Krishna Jai Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivraj Kacharya Ashtotra Shatasheshamad is one grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glory to the assembled devotee. Glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Uh, 4:11:11. Yeah. Krishna. All right. 4:11:11. Okay, so this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 11. Swayambhuva Manu advises Dhruva Maharaj. We're on text 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sarvabhutatma Bhavena Bhutavasam Harim Bhavan Aradyapa Duradradyam Vishnostat Paramam Padam Sarvabhutatma Bhavena Bhutavasam Harim Bhavan Aradyapa Duraradam Vishnostat Paramam Padam Sarvabhutatma Bhavena Bhutavasam Harim Bhavan Aradyapa Duradradyam Vishnostat Paramam Padam Sarvabhutatma Bhavena Bhutavasam Harim Bhavan Aradyapudradyaam Vishnustat Paramam Padam Okay, so one should not accept the body as the self, and thus, like the animals, kill the bodies of others. Okay, translation. It is very difficult to... Oh, yes. Word by word meaning. Sarvabhuta, in all living entities. Atma, upon the supersoul. Bhavena, with meditation. Bhuta, of all existence. Avasam, the abode. Harim, Lord Hari. Bhavan, you. Aradhya, by worshipping. Apa, have achieved. Duraradhyam, very difficult to propitiate. Vishnoha, of Lord Vishnu. Tat, that. Paramam, supreme. Padam, situation. Translation. It is very difficult to achieve the spiritual abode of Hari in the Vaikuntha planets. But you are so fortunate that you are already destined to go to that abode by worshipping Him as the supreme abode of all living entities. Purport. The material bodies of all living entities cannot exist unless sheltered by the spirit soul and the supersoul. The spirit soul is dependent on the supersoul, who is present even within the atom. Therefore, since anything material or spiritual is completely dependent on the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord is referred to here as Bhutavasa. Dhruva Maharaj, as a Kshatriya, could have argued with his grandfather Manu when Manu requested him to stop fighting. But even though Dhruva Maharaj could have argued that as a Kshatriya it was his duty to fight with the enemy, he was informed that since every living entity is a residence of the Supreme Lord and can be considered a temple of the Lord, the unnecessary killing of any living entity is not permitted. Alright, I'll just read another one. Because you are a pure devotee of the Lord is always thinking of you, and you are also recognized by all His confidential devotees. Your life is meant for exemplary behavior. I am therefore surprised. Why have you undertaken such an abominable task? Purport. Dhruva Maharaj was a pure devotee and was accustomed to always thinking of the Lord. Reciprocally, the Lord always thinks of those pure devotees who think of Him only, 24 hours a day. As a pure devotee does not know anything beyond the Lord, so the Lord does not know anything beyond His pure devotee. Swayambhuva Manu pointed out this fact to Dhruva Maharaj. Not only are you a pure devotee, but you are recognized by all pure devotees of the Lord. You should always act in such an exemplary way that others may learn from you. Under the circumstances, it is surprising that you have killed so many faultless yakshas. Om Ekyanatipadandasya Garanjana Shalakaya Chukshuvanamadhamena Tasma Shri Guruvedamha Kam Karitavachalam Pangam Langate Gidim Kipatamaham Bande Shri Gurun Diritarana Ancha Kapadrivishta Kipasindavevcha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauda Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So read the translations again. It is very difficult to achieve the spiritual abode of Hari in the Vaikuntha planets, but you are so fortunate that you are already destined to go to that abode by worshipping Him as the supreme abode of all living entities. Because you are a pure devotee of the Lord, and the Lord is always thinking of you, and you are also recognized by His confidential devotees, your life is meant for exemplary behavior. I am therefore surprised. Why have you undertaken such an abominable task? Krishna. So, Dhruva Maharaj, he saw, as as we've been reading for the last however long it's been, weeks, that Dhruva Maharaj, he, through his austerity and through his devotion and through his surrender to his spiritual master, he saw Lord Vishnu on Garuda, so he had darshan. But interesting enough is that even though that happened, still he became very angry and extremely angry and upset that one of the yakshas, or a few of them, killed his brother. So he just, instead of just taking care of the one or two, then he just started annihilating all of them. I mean, you can imagine that it's like people, of course, Dhruva Maharaj is a whole nother, but you can imagine if somebody, some guy kills another person in your family, and you just go and you start annihilating him and also his family, just because they're connected with him. Or like people in the same neighborhood, you just, okay, that guy, he killed my family, now I'm going to go kill everybody in the neighborhood. So it's not exactly proper. It's not proper. Not exactly proper. It's not proper. And people have that sometimes. That's the whole thing about racism in modern world, that they've had experience that whatever, a white guy or something, or a Caucasian guy, he gets attacked from whatever the term is now, politically correct term is nowadays, black or African American or whatever. He gets attacked a few times, and then he just takes it on the whole race of black people, African people, African American people, and vice versa. So yeah, it's not correct. But although, which is interesting, because Dhruva Maharaj, again, he saw Vishnu, but still he had this, you could say, problem. He had this problem. And Manu here is saying that he told him to stop, which Dhruva Maharaj agreed to. I think there's some problem, huh? Dhruva Maharaj agreed to. And Manu is saying you have to stop. Why? Because this is not proper. This is abominable. He doesn't say it's just not proper. He says it's abominable. You should stop this. Why have you undertaken such an abominable task? Krishna. It's working? Krishna? Okay. Static, ecstatic. Right? I think Radhanath Swami said, material life is static and spiritual life is ecstatic. Right? Yeah, devotees are clever, right? All these poetic. So yeah, we can learn from this that in relation to thinking of others, because sometimes devotees, they have issues, they have problems, they have all types of things that devotees go through. I mean, even in the Bhagavatam, so many cases in the Bhagavatam of people actually, falling down from the spiritual path. So, in relation to us seeing others, then we could be merciful, we could be forgiving. That, okay, such great personalities as Dhruva Maharaj and so many others, they've had difficulties. Lord Brahma, right? Earlier in the Bhagavatam, the 3rd canto, he has some difficulties. So many cases. So instead of just, okay, hey, this person had a difficulty, this person's done something wrong, okay, let's pull out the gun and just shoot him, for what he's done. So that's not very nice. And similarly, means not like an actual gun, but like metaphysically, shoot him down. Or her, write them off. And similarly, in relation to ourselves, if we're undergoing, or if we have in the past or whatever future, if there's some difficulty, we should try to see from so many other examples that, okay, fine, so many people have difficulties, and not be unnecessarily critical of ourselves. Means critical to the point of becoming absolutely discouraged. So yeah, Dhruva Maharaj, Prabhupada says, was a pure devotee, was accustomed to always thinking of the Lord. Reciprocally, the Lord always thinks of those pure devotees who think of Him only 24 hours a day. A pure devotee does not know anything beyond the Lord, so the Lord does not know anything beyond His pure devotee. So this is the whole goal, to become Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. This is the whole goal, to become completely absorbed in Krishna. And the nectar, this is so distracting.
Yesterday we just turned it off, and I think the ceiling mic.
Oh really? Okay. This is like really. Krishna. So yeah, we have to associate with devotees, and it will be easier for us to become Krishna conscious, to be Krishna conscious. And therefore, that's the whole principle of the of a spiritual master. Which, interesting enough, Prabhupada would say that Shiksha and Diksha, there's no difference. And of course, there's different levels of spiritual masters, but the point is the principle of spiritual master, which everybody is supposed to become, why so they could be a source of inspiration for others, that by associating with the spiritual masters or gurus or teachers, they're supposed to inspire us and encourage us on the path of Krishna realization, and they do that factually. So that is the beauty, that is the glory, that is the greatness of associating with them, is that They inspire us to renounce this world, to move on, to become Krishna conscious, to not become overly absorbed and attached to this world. And that's important, because without that, we're actually finished. We won't be successful. And what we at one point in our Krishna conscious path or our serious Krishna conscious path, we were thinking that, okay, material life, it's like a nightmare. We start thinking that, oh, that's like a dream, that's like a idyllic dream that I want to enter into. And rather than thinking that, it's just a nightmare. So that's important, because without that faith, then Krishna consciousness makes no sense whatsoever. Without faith. And we see that so many devotees, they lose their faith, practically speaking. They think, oh, well, what's the value of chanting Hare Krishna? Or what's the value of coming to the temple? Or what's the value of associating with devotees? And it's just lack of faith. So therefore, one's level of advancement is actually, one of the characteristics of one's level of advancement is actually their faith. And the pure devotee, they have the greatest faith that Krishna will take care of me, Krishna is there, so on. So we want to develop our faith. So therefore we have to associate with the spiritual master, those who are faithful devotees. And once we become... And the difficulty is that everybody's getting old, or at least their bodies are getting old. That is the difficulty. And why is that difficult? Because what does that mean practically? That means there's going to be devotees who are looking up to us naturally, just because you're getting some gray hairs and your body's getting older, and just young people have a tendency to look up to older people, even if they don't want to. They have the tendency. It happens all the time. So especially within the spiritual circles, because they think, okay, elderly, it means they've been around for some time, either been chanting Hare Krishna for years, means they have wisdom, right? And they should. So the problem is that, the difficulty is that if one becomes elderly, and you have so many devotees looking up to you, but what if you're not free from material desires? What if you haven't chanted Hare Krishna sincerely as we should? What if we haven't developed the wisdom that we should have? So that's the challenge. Because one becomes old, but they become, if they don't become super advanced, it's a challenge actually. Because you'll be misleading people. We'll be misleading people. So yeah, it's a great responsibility, actually. So therefore, the idea is that every year of our life, every day of our life, every day, every week, every month, every year, we should be making solid advancement, so that when we become older, we actually have something to give. Because practically speaking, the worst thing is to discourage people, mislead people. And Manu here, he's saying that you are recognized by all pure devotees of the Lord. So you should always act in such an exemplary way that others may learn from you. So yeah, that's the challenge, that we have to act in an exemplary way that others may learn from us. So therefore we have to learn what is the srimadbhagavatam, what is the nectar devotion, what's the content of these books, what is the culture of Krishna consciousness, or else we're just not properly serving Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara. And then he says, under the circumstances, it is surprising that you have killed so many faultless yakshas. So yeah, Dhruva Maharaj did have a problem. He did have a difficulty. He did have difficulty. And therefore we shouldn't, in so many cases in the Bhagavatam, therefore we shouldn't find it surprising that devotees have difficulties or we have difficulties. It is the material world. So we want to, but although that's there, we want to come to the platform where we don't have difficulties. Where we're free from the difficulties. We're free from all of that. And that can come, but we really need, in Kali Yuga it's challenging, it's difficult. Spiritual life is difficult. But by sincerely taking shelter of the holy name of Krishna, we could be successful. And practically speaking, that's the only means of success, chanting of the holy name, kirtan and japa. And without that, how else are we going to become successful? Through deity worship, through different spiritual practices, they just don't have the same power in this age as the holy name. So we have to take shelter of the holy name. So somehow we have to get that taste. So yeah, we'll get that taste by associating with devotees, by associating with pure devotees, and gradually we'll become pure devotees by their mercy, and we'll gain entrance into pure devotional service. And we will be great examples, as Srila Prabhupada wants us to be, great examples, which means Vacho Vegam, Manaso Kroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Adodapasta Vegam, Etan Vegam, Yovishaheta Dira, Sarvam, Abhimam Prativimsha Shishyat, one who can control the urges of the tongue, belly, genitals, mind, anger, speech. They could become a guru and accept disciples all over the world. So Prabhupada did want that. The Ritviks may say otherwise, but we know Prabhupada wanted that. And therefore one should strive to become qualified, not for one's own personal sense gratification or aggrandizement, but for the benefit of others, become qualified to serve people in such a way as a teacher. Serve them as a teacher, serves their students, and become exemplary, and be free from these difficulties and these faults that people of lesser advancement have, to become steady. So that's very important. So Manu here is encouraging Dhruva Maharaj, what you did is abominable, you should stop, and you shouldn't do this, you should be exemplary. So Dhruva Maharaj is agreeing to that. So, does anyone have any questions or comments? Observations? Reflections?
Well, it's just interesting that it's exactly the opposite to what happens on the Bhagavad Gita battlefield before chapter 1. Did you mention that?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Arjuna was hesitating to fight, and Krishna had to get him to fight.
Yeah.
And here Dhruva is going overboard in his fighting, and he has to be stopped from fighting. And in that way, each of them performs proper service.
Yeah.
But in both cases, you have the concept of the yajadachadadi shestas.
Yeah.
Is that being in a leadership position, you have to be aware of that as an implication of your activities. And so keep on the straight and narrow, do the right thing, because thousands of people are watching.
Mm-hmm.
So as devotees, we also are in the spotlight, like it or not. So we have to live up to the standards Prabhupada said.
thousands of people are watching. Oh, jeez. That's challenge. That's a lot of pressure. I mean, especially with devotees who are like in leadership positions, everybody's watching them practically. And now with the advent of the social media and everybody's phone, that everybody has a camera and a recorder and yeah, everything. So, do you look crooked one day? That's funny. Yeah, so yeah, it's a lot of pressure. But for other devotees, it's not that necessarily thousands are watching, right? And they tell people who tell people who tell people. Yeah, it's actually sannyasis. It says, yeah, you have the sannyasis that it's like, if there's some fault, it says like it's like an ink spot on a white cloth. So that's the beauty of sannyas. Especially, that's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's some verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's like ink spot on a white cloth. So that's the beauty of sannyas. And especially it's like magnified in Kali Yuga because people like to find faults in Kali Yuga. So it's like amplified, you know. So even if there's that little spot, they make it to, you know. Like apparently Ravindra Swarup Prabhu said that, I think he said it about, anyways, I mentioned Ritviks again, but it's a whole discussion, but about the Ritviks, he said that, you know, the people who say that, that nobody's qualified to become a guru after Prabhupada. So that's one, I guess, apparently it's called the hard, it's like a hard Ritvik. He said, there'll never be anybody qualified. And then the soft Ritvik is that, well, there's no one qualified now, but in the future there may be a self-effulgent acharya will come and then he could initiate. But whatever the case is, of course we don't accept both of them. We do say that that Prabhupada, he's a pure devotee, and a pure devotee can make other pure devotees, and he could, by the pure devotee's mercy, he can make pure devotees and make them qualified, and therefore act as spiritual masters. But aside from that, Ravindra Swarup Prabhu said that a lot of these ideas are actually, and many other ideas that devotees may have, it's like fault finding. So he said that they've taken fault finding and elevated it to like a philosophy, you know. So we see that whether it's in the devotee circle or whatever, they take fault finding, elevate it to a philosophy. They just find faults, and this is how it is. This is reality. This is yeah. Yes.
Because you were talking about associating with devotees, and particularly associating with pure devotees, so that you stay inspired in Krishna consciousness and don't become.
Yeah, if not inspired, what's going to happen? You're just dead.
So I was maybe you could say more on that, on associating with pure devotees or associating with devotees who inspire you, and then talk about that as well as the aspect of, you know, there's outreach and there's also cultivating other new devotees and things like that. And I mean, not even let alone for like a senior devotee, but even like if you're a brand new devotee, you end up, you know, associating with like other new devotees and you're trying to encourage them. And then even if you've just been around for a couple of years, still like you end up associating with devotees who are not so inspiring to you, but you want to, you know, encourage them as well. So maybe you could say something about that as well.
Yeah.
How to understand that.
Well, we could also gain our inspiration from new devotees or bhaktas or whatever. It's inspiring in the sense that they also may have good exemplary qualities that we could learn from and be inspired from. I remember Tamal Krishna Goswami was saying that anybody who has like guru nishta or faith in the guru, I accept them as my guru. So he said that even some of his disciples, interesting enough, his disciples, he found them to have a lot of faith in him. And because they had so much faith in him as a guru, he accepted them as his guru, in the sense that he's learning from them how to have faith in guru. It means how to have faith in Prabhupada. Because he's related to Prabhupada, they're related to him. And he mentioned about Zurich, about Switzerland, because at that time they were just like absolutely on fire, distributing books, just pumping out books like absolutely, like it's a dream or something, you know, like, you know, one Sankirtan devotee who goes out and distributes, you know, $40, $80, $100 a day, you know, he dreams about going out and distributing 500 books in one day or something. They were doing that. So anyways, so Tamal Krishna Goswami was saying that when he goes to Zurich, he's specifically going there to associate with Harikesh Swami's disciples. Because he said, for whatever reason, a lot of time Harikesh Swami wasn't there at the time, but he would go there and, you know, give class and all that, sannyasi. But he was associated with the disciples. Why? Because they had so much guru nishta, so much guru faith in the guru, that he felt inspiration in that. So, so there's that we could get inspiration from, you know, a guru can get from his disciples, or someone who's not a guru, you know, they could get from new devotees. It's inspiring and enlivening to see new people take to Krishna consciousness. But of course, if we're dealing with them, you could say more closely, with maybe their issues and problems and hang-ups and doubts and so on, then yeah, it could be kind of challenging if that's all our association all the time. And maybe they don't have much taste, you know, for chanting and so on. So therefore we have to balance it, that, okay, we give people time, our time, and we may feel very inspired. But we also, I don't think we won't get all the inspiration we need just from that, just from associating with new devotees or younger devotees or devotees even on our same platform or similar platform. We won't get all of the inspiration we need from that association. We will get inspiration though, but we need more. So therefore, to spend some time somehow or other with devotees who we consider more advanced and who are more advanced, have more taste or whatever, and then that will be inspiring to us also, and that will complete the whole inspiration, the need for inspiration. And therefore, parikrama, right? We go to Vrindavan. There's so many devotees giving talks about Krishna and, you know, taking devotees on tours. Mayapur, parikrama. We go associate with gurus, so many different things. Festivals and retreats. The whole, you know, a retreat and a festival without devotees who have taste for the holy name, without devotees who are advanced, it's not really much of a festival or retreat.
Depressing.
Yeah, it's depressing.
Everybody's walking around, moping around.
Yeah, moping around and
Checking their phones and
depressed. It's just, you know, there's not much inspiration. But the whole thing, Sadhu Sangha retreat, right? Which that's in Boone, North Carolina. It's actually very beautiful, and now they have cheaper flights out there.
Is that really?
Yeah, because before it was Memorial Day. Yeah, it's a Boone. Before it was Memorial Day weekend. This retreat, it's always a Memorial Day weekend, but it was $500 like round trip. Which, of course, for people who have a little money, it's not that much. But you know, some people don't have money. It's, you know. Anyways, the Spirit Airlines, which, you know, you got to pay to go to the bathroom.
No, really.
I'm just joking. No, but it's, you know, they don't give you water, they don't give you peanuts. You know, they actually put more seats in the airplane than you're supposed to fit more people. You know.
Yeah.
But they really reduced the price of the ticket.
Okay.
And you could make it there in a round trip, $200 to North Carolina, but you just bring a little backpack, you know, with a few dhotis and toiletry. You know. So anyways, it's cheaper there. But then you take a drive 2 hours to Boone, and very beautiful, you know, mountains and trees. But the thing is, my point is, it's a festival. Why? Because the people they invite. they, it's Bibi Govinda Swami and Madhava Prabhu and Indrayumna Swami and all these different devotees. Oh, people, oh yeah, I'd like to go, right? I mean, if they're not there, it's kind of like, well, we're not going to go, what's the point? So that's important.
But they still have a more that we can have.
Yeah. And of course, there's a whole group of devotees who are absolutely fried with that and angry because Prabhupada, it's on the same weekend as Festival of Prabhupada. Which, okay, whatever, but I mean, I could understand why some devotees are a little upset, but I think it seems that some of them are taking a little overboard, like they're kind of, almost like picketing it, and
This is why I stay off social media. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I mean, I was told that. I also don't know, but they say, oh, it's like guru worship. They're out there. It's guru. It means all the gurus who go there. It's like a bunch of disciples. Yeah, it's not probably. Anyways, so I think they're taking a little overboard. But anyways, on a more positive note, that in the West Coast, I don't know. I'm putting out there. Maybe people will hear. Somebody will hear and be inspired. And I don't know, but I really think we should have a West Coast Kirtan retreat.
We should.
Like absolutely, without a doubt, because all these retreats are all on the East Coast. You have Alachua, they have Boone, North Carolina, West Virginia, New Vrindavan. Where's the West Coast Kirtan retreat? I think Prabhupada will want a West Coast Kirtan retreat. So we just rent a center out like they do in Boone, North Carolina, invite all the, devotees, and anyways. But
it's the density of devotees, the density of people on the East Coast.
Oh yeah.
We can do it in the summer, like the first Sunday of August or something.
For Rath Yatra. Yeah, right. Anyways. All right.
I told Zach that he has to tell the people up in Portland that they have to move that little school. Last year he couldn't come.
Yeah, they did it on Rath Yatra. Yeah.
They always have the first weekend of August.
Oh, really?
Well, that's their standard.
Oh.
But they could easily move it.
Yeah.
But if he hasn't called them yet, again, he's going to have this conflict.
Yeah, he went to the Rath Yatra in L.A.
When?
Last year.
You sure?
Yeah, he was going to go to Portland, but what happened is his whole passport didn't come in time.
Oh, is that? Oh,
yeah.
Maybe it's the year before.
Yeah. One year he did go up there.
The first year.
Yeah. So. All right, but anyways, the point is we need that association of people have taste, and that's what really inspires us. So. That's what makes a kirtan.
Exactly.
That's what makes prasad. Prasad is when somebody has a taste for cooking and they're really devotion and they want to offer to Krishna. That's what makes everything alive. Is that like attraction? So. All right. Okay, Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam teacher.